Hello and welcome to Hard Choices. Hard Choices. Bob, what kind of choices?
Oh, hard.
Hard. The podcast where we rank the fuckability of characters from a fictional universe and discover what lies at the throbbing heart of horniness. We'll find out the median, the zenith, and the nadir of fuckability, but really, this podcast is about the people we smashed along the way. And on today's episode, when you play the game of bones, you fuck or you die. Sometimes both.
And our host for this episode is Miles Schneiderman.
And so he fucked. And so he fucked. That Lord of Castamere. And now they bang all o'er his hall so everyone can hear. Yes, now they bang all o'er his hall. Joining me for this episode are MeganBob.
What do we say to the god of boners? Yes, please.
And, as you've already heard, our very special guests from the Unspoiled Podcast Network, Krista Contino-Saumby.
Hey, Roz, am I right?
Oh my god. Oh my god. You know what? She wasn't even discussed for this. Nobody brought her up, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Thought we'd go this entire podcast without mentioning fucking Roz, but apparently not. And the boss bitch herself, Natasha Winters.
I understand that if any name other than Tormund comes pouring out of your cunt mouths, I'm going to have to fuck every fucking wildling in this room.
All right, as you might have noticed, today we are ranking the fuckability of characters from Game of Thrones, the HBO show based on George R.R. Martin's eternally in progress book series, A Song of Ice and Fire. After an exhaustive and often painful selection process, because this one was really hard, the four of us have come up with a list of 21 Game of Thrones characters, and each of us has independently ranked these characters from most fuckable to least fuckable. We will begin by going around and finding out everyone's median character, the one they ranked number 11. We will then work our way down through the bottom 10 until we reach the nadir of each list, then go back up and hear about everybody's top 10 until we reach the zenith of each list. For the most part, everyone will only be offering a brief reason why they ranked each character the way they did, but each of the hosts has 3 big feels interjections available, which means that any 3 entries on each list can be expanded upon into a slightly longer argument. After all the lists have been revealed, we will aggregate them to come up with a single master list, and we'll also take some time to unpack the choices our friends have made and ask for a few more details about why you feel this way. Now, before we dive into our list, as always, it is important to be reminded of the definition of fuckability for our purposes, and that reminder, as always, comes to us courtesy of the horny genius behind this show's creation, MeganBob.
Fuckability is not about what they look like. It's not about what they look like, but it's about what they fuck like. So assume that you are into them, they are into you, how good is the sex, and what is it like?
Thank you, Bob. And since fuckability is such a personal, individual thing, it's always useful before we begin to go around the table and talk about where we're all coming from as Game of Thrones fans. What's your level of familiarity with the show? Are you a fan of the books? Where you're coming from in general? Some of these will be a little bit more obvious to a few of our listeners than others, but Bob, why don't we start with you?
I watched the show with my parents whenever it first aired because they were like, oh man, we heard about this show. And so we were watching it and I was like, all right. And then I read the books, and I would say my reaction continued to be, all right. I continued to watch the show, and then my relationship with the show became an embittered, abusive relationship in which every week I was furious at the television. And
strangely, this is not the first time I'm hearing this about Game of Thrones. Weird.
Yes. And then finally broke up with it in the last fake season, whatever the fuck that thing was. and have only heard about it through rumors. I am ride or die for like 5 characters and have read reams of fanfic about them. Some of it highly problematic, although perhaps not as problematic as some of the other stuff I've read in other fandoms, which I'm not going to talk about. That's my evolution, my journey with this goddamn motherfucking piece of shit that I sometimes have feelings about.
Well said. Krista, what about you?
In keeping with my tradition of never doing anything in order, my first episode of Game of Thrones was from season 7.
Oh, wow.
When Daenerys comes in to beat out Jaime Lannister and Bronn with her Blood Riders and the dragon, and that's where I started. And so then I did watch the rest of the series, and then I had been listening to Miles and Natasha's coverage, which I'll just mention for a second, of the show, and then decided, because my co-host Jamie decided to buy me the books for Christmas many years ago at this point, that I would try one of the books. I read the first book. I was like, well, this is just the first season, whatever. And then decided to skip around the books for the chapters that people thought were interesting. And then also listen to all of Unspoiled's coverage of the books. And now am doing the same coverage with Unspoiled's second coverage of the books. But I'm probably never going to read the books all together.
Wow.
That is wild.
That is a crazy path. Natasha?
Man. All right. So yeah, as Krista mentioned, I have covered the books once with my ex-husband. We covered the show as I got more and more angry. More and more people stopped listening, which was fine. Once we split up, I think I picked it up with you and Anton one season.
Yeah.
And then
We did season 5 together.
Rashawn joined us. I eventually made it patrons only because I was just tired of the feedback of angry fanboys. And now I am covering the book series again with Rashawn, who has only ever seen the show, but she had never read the books. And she has also the worst memory of any human being on planet Earth besides somebody who's like actively battling dementia. So she is perfect because there's shit that did happen in the show that she has also forgotten about. So it's practically like a real Unspoiled experience all over again.
And I was a huge fan of the books, still am a huge fan of the books, I would say, although it's been definitely like I've taken my longest break from rereading them in the last few years than I have since I first got into them in like 2010. Which was after the 4th one had come out. I got super obsessed with them. Started writing for Tower of the Hand. That was like actually my first published writing, was at that Song of Ice and Fire fan site, where I went by the handle Ghost Love Singer for various reasons that we won't go into right now.
That's where I met you.
That's, yeah. And I remember Game of Thrones, the show came out, and I was like very into it at first, and I was looking for like Song of Ice and Fire podcasts, and they were all terrible. I famously told the story numerous times on Unspoiled. And then I found Unspoiled, and I was like, holy shit, a good one. And so I started listening to that. And then when did I left a review or something?
Yeah, you left a review in which you said, look what you made me do. I had to download iTunes to do this.
That's right.
You were like very angry about that specifically.
So I ended up like guesting. I think it was like during the wrap of the series. Starting with season 2, I ended up covering the show episode by episode for Tower of the Hand, writing weekly reviews. And then Natasha and Anton and I covered season 5 together. And that was the season where I tapped out. I know the episode, I know the moment. It was my review of that episode for Tower of the Hand was like reposted by like actual like real websites because I was very mad about it. And to this day, everybody said I'd be back. To this day, I have never seen a single episode of season 6, 7, or 8.
Good for you.
Because I declared myself done with the show and I never watched another episode. However, as it turned out, people still wanted to hear me talk about it. So I did cover the rest of the show alongside Natasha and Roshan under the stipulation that I would not watch a single episode and they would get to do multiple choice questions with me about what happened. A detail which ultimately would lead to the invention of the cheap pop quiz on our wrestling podcast, The Next Wrestling Fan. So it all ties together.
Yay!
This has been Miles has long and complicated history with Game of Thrones and Song of Ice and Fire.
Universes within universes.
I have perhaps more feelings about this series than about anything that we could possibly be covering. So with that, we know where we're all coming from. Let's unveil the characters that we're ranking today. First, though, a few honorable mentions. And I will kick things off. The Baratheon brothers, Robert, Stannis, and Renly, did not make the list. I'm sure we could have made a joke here about stabbing Robert like a boar, eating Renly like a peach, or...
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
The fact that why would you even... Stannis? No. Like, do we even need to have a conversation about why Stannis is so thoroughly unfuckable?
I would fuck him, but okay.
Okay, well... Tell us about who else you would fuck, Bob.
Davos Seaworth did not make the list despite my strong arguments, but I just want to say, this man who probably has, I don't know, 7 fingers, I bet he fucks better than anybody with 10. There you go. I love you, Davos.
To the dismay of reasonable human beings, Gendry is an honorable mention. Because for some reason, a man whose arms and legs are jacked from all that rowing, we have but lost the true heir of Robert Baratheon, who is probably just good genetically at fucking.
Really, we were just like, no Baratheons on this list. Fuck Storm's End.
Okay, so Khal Drogo. I can hear people going, he's on the honorable mentions as I say the name. Look, guys, I get it. Because he fine.
Yeah, yum.
But we had a little bit of a feeling that the problematic nature of the depiction of people of color in Song of Ice and Fire might lead to a sort of fetishization.
I think you got it right the first time.
There you go. But we didn't want to leave him out entirely. And Khal Drogo, for me, I am a fan of forceful men. And I have had a low-key fantasy ever since watching Vikings about my village getting torn apart and me being taken by a very large and sexy man. And so Khal Drogo just really ticks those boxes, lol, for me. I do think that probably my stipulations about consensual non-consent is not something he would be interested in, so there he remains on the honorable mentions, but I had to mention him.
Well, moving in a different direction, Robb Stark is not on this list, nor is his wife Talisa, who I pushed for because Una Chaplin is ridiculously hot.
Yeah.
But I understand why. They're kind of nothing characters. What are you going to say about Robb? If you were writing the description about Robb that we're about to read out for all the characters, the description would be like, he's the son of a guy.
Yeah.
And he really should have just married that girl. So, Robb, Talisa, nice knowing you.
I had this character number 1 on honorable mentions. It's very important to me that the Night King get a mention. Look, the winters are long. You want a man who can last all winter long.
Oh my god.
Of those blue eyes staring at you from the fucking darkness, creeping you out. I don't understand why he's on honorable mentions.
I'm just glad that Monster Fucker Bob has entered the chat.
Well, in the realm of magic, I was confused why Jaqen H'ghar was not on the main list. Because he is a man of many talents. If you wish it, he will make it happen. I don't think I need to say any more.
I feel like with him, you're going to be like, did I get fucked?
Here's what I'll say about Jaqen H'ghar. When we talk about the characters that actually are on the list, just keep in mind, it could just actually be him at any point. It could be him instead of them.
That helps heal the wound.
So the last, and certainly not least, is good old Podrick Payne. Apparently, the whores of King's Landing were a big fan and found him difficult to describe. He was no larger than an ordinary man, but he was, though. We all know.
Let's jump into the list proper. And I think Bob is starting us off.
Number 1 on our list, Eddard Stark, Ned Stark. Lord of Winterfell, dedicated father and husband who does the right thing, even when it's a real bad idea.
Especially when it's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's kind of the Stark watchword. Speaking of Starks, number 2, Catelyn Stark, wife of Ned Stark, determined and protective mother to her children. Number 3, Tyrion Lannister, the imp, unloved dwarf son of Tywin Lannister, brilliant strategist who loves wine and women. Number 4, Cersei Lannister, conniving, ruthless, certifiably bananas daughter of Tywin Lannister who wants power at all costs. And number 5, Jaime Lannister, aka the Kingslayer, morally conflicted twin and lover of Cersei, as well as a notorious knight until the loss of his sword hand, that is.
Number 6, Tywin Lannister, patriarch, cold and calculating, even when it comes to family. Or fucking, ?
Possibly.
Number 7, Daenerys Targaryen, mother of dragons, presumed last of the Targaryen line and rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Number 8, Jon Snow, presumed bastard son of Ned Stark, ranger and eventually, spoilers, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
Mm.
Number 9, Samwell Tarly, Jon's best friend and also a member of the Night's Watch, cowardly but intelligent. Same.
Mm.
Number 10, Brienne of Tarth, knight originally in the service of King Renly, brave and devoted, will fuck you up.
Number 11, Sandor Clegane, also known as the Hound, a bitter, angry warrior who enjoys getting drunk and hating his brother. Number 12, Bronn, sellsword in the service of Tyrion Lannister, enjoys cracking jokes, drinking, sex, walking on the beach, and money. Mostly money.
Yes.
Number 13, Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper of Dorne, bisexual lord known for siring bastard children and poisoning people. 14, Marjorie Tyrell, compassionate but ambitious queen to 3 different kings. Number 15, Loras Tyrell, the Knight of Flowers, Marjorie's brother, lover of King Renly, accomplished knight.
Number 16, Melisandre of Ashai, priestess of R'hllor, advisor to King Stannis, and mother of his shadowy assassin babies. Number 17, Yara Greyjoy. In the book, she's Asha Greyjoy. I'll be calling her Asha, probably, as a warning. Wild and ferocious pirate who ends up queen of the Iron Islands. Spoiler alert. Number 18, Ser Jorah Mormont, disgraced and exiled knight, advisor to Daenerys Targaryen, who he is also in love with. 19, Ygritte, wildling lover of Jon Snow, notable for her sharp tongue and archery skills. Number 20, Shae, prostitute, lover of Tyrion Lannister, intelligent and secretive. And finally, last but not least, Tormund Giantsbane, wildling warlord, also known as Tormund Thunderfist, tall talker, hornblower, and breaker of ice, husband to bears, the Mead King of Ruddy Hall, speaker to gods, and father of hosts. Baby!
And unacknowledged by this group until I said something after 3 people failed to mention his name.
We all knew you were gonna say it.
Don't you patronize me. I know what was going on.
And now for our lists, and we start with number 11, the median, the very middle of the pack of fuckability. Natasha, who is your number 11?
My number 11 is Eddard Stark. Eddard Stark strikes me as somebody who will definitely make sure that you come, but you're not going to remember it that well. You know, it's like in the moment, it's satisfying. It's like a really good like roast chicken dinner
Right.
where you're hungry and you want to eat. And in the moment, you're like, yes. But when somebody's like, what was the best meal you ever had? Roast chicken's nowhere near the top of the list of memorable meals.
Damn.
Can see that.
Serviceable.
All right. Krista, who's your number 11?
Loras Tyrell.
Oh.
I had a friend that I hung out with on Y2K in Boston and was openly gay. And then he kissed me on Y2K, which shocked me at midnight because I was not expecting it. And he said, I figured you'd just close your eyes and think of someone else like I did.
What?
Wow.
And that's kind of how I feel like Loras goes through life.
Mother of God. What's this guy's name? Krista, I just want to talk real quick.
No, it was fine. We are still very good friends, and he is one of the lights of my life in entertainment value.
All right. Miles, who's your number 11?
My number 11 is Tywin Lannister.
All right.
We all made faces.
I mean, look, when I was thinking about this list, I was thinking a lot about how Game of Thrones is about the Game of Thrones, right? So, like, who's better at manipulating people? And, like, if that person was into me, if someone who's very manipulative and, like, conniving was super into me and wanted me to have a good time during sex, I think they would be okay at making sure that happens. Like, he's very experienced in it. He's diplomatic. I think he'd be pretty good. I also think he'd want something in return. He'd be like, I'll make this memorable for you, baby, but what are you going to do for me afterward? You know what I mean? It's, you know, I think commercializing sex in that way is not exactly my thing, but I think it'd be fun.
My number 11 is Shay. I think Shay is your mom friend who fucks. Like, doesn't take any of it too seriously, just in it for a good time. Tons of skills, but also isn't like a show off about it. She's kind of real cash. There's going to be rosé and finger banging all night long.
Oh my God. Can we get that on a t-shirt? Rosé and finger banging.
Oh, man. All right, quick, our merch line. All right, Miles, who is your number 12?
My number 12 is Brienne of Tarth. I think Brienne, if you were able to get her into the point where she'd have sex with you, you've already probably gotten past a lot of her barriers. And she's going to be trying really hard. You know what I mean? I think she would really do her best. And I think her body's probably amazing from all the fighting she does. I do think she'd be very inexperienced and awkward. Like, I just think there would be some real awkward moments over the course of that sex, which is fine. I just, you know, she's not any lower. I think it would still be a pretty decent time. But I don't know. Couple of moments there.
Yeah, I put her as my number 12 also, Miles.
Oh, okay, cool.
My thought was, if you can get her to unwind, I think she would be a fucking animal. I think it would be awkward. I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
And I also think you got to play the long game with Brienne. I think Brienne is, I hate to put it this way, Brienne is an investment of time and energy.
Yeah, totally.
That's not the worst thing, but I think that's definitely part of what you're getting into with Brienne. Natasha, who's your number 12?
I put Jaime Lannister.
Interesting.
I feel that if you want a man who's been trained well, a guy who has slept with only someone like Cersei, who I have to assume is domineering AF, I bet he could get the job done. However, I'm never really a fan of fucking a man who's prettier than me. So that's my like main drawback on him, is that I would probably the entire time just be like, oh, but you're so beautiful. I can't, this is uncomfortable.
And then he'd agree with you?
Oh.
Exactly. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows he's prettier than me. This isn't like a guy who's like, sweetie, no, what do you mean? He'd be like, I mean, yes, but you're welcome.
Krista, who's your number 12?
So this is my big feels.
Okay.
But he is my number 12, and it is Bronn.
Okay, interesting.
I feel like he'd be the most fun going to a strip club and hanging out and broing it up.
Okay.
That's what I want to do with Bronn. I don't want to have sex with him, but I want to hang out with him and maybe be in the room when we're banging, but not with him.
I see it. I see it. He brings a vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows all the best places. He knows all the bouncers because they're like friends of his.
Yeah.
He knows which prostitutes are good. He knows. He knows everything.
He's a great wingman, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he'd pick the best prostitute for himself, but like the second best is going to be great.
That's good.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Good looking out.
I'm going to go for number 13 because my number 13 is Jaime Lannister. My thought was, to Natasha's point, skilled. But I would also say nothing exquisitely special because he's so trained for such a specific person. Also, I think maybe he has a cuckold fetish because he banged Cersei while she was with Robert. And so that's not like the worst thing in the world. But, like, then I'll just bang somebody else and tell Jaime, hey, I banged somebody else. He's going to be like, oh, that was pretty hot. And I'm like, all right, that's handled for the day. Krista, who's your number 13?
Samwell Tarly.
Okay.
Because I can't let him cheat on Gilly. I just can't. The sweet, sweet couple. I adore them. They're so freaking cute. I don't want to, but I would be very kind and gentle with the poor boy and maybe teach him a couple things so he can bring it back home.
Aww.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like when you go out in nature, you want to leave it better than you found it.
Exactly. Thank you.
So you're like, you clean up the campsite, you pick up a couple of things that people have left, and you're like, I'm a good person. All right, Natasha, who's your number 13?
Jorah Mormont.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Jorah he feels like he'd be very enthusiastic. He'd be like grateful in a way that might make you uncomfortable. That can be a turn on. It really depends on like the mood you're in. You know, if you are feeling not great about yourself and you want somebody who just repeatedly is like, you are so beautiful while you're having sex, you want to go to somebody like Jorah. He's going to boost you up.
Right.
But if you're not in that mood, all that talking, he's maybe trying to be a little bit too emotional. You just want to like be dirty and he can't. But I think that he would try really hard. I bet that he has pretty good stamina.
Yeah.
I'm never sorry when somebody worships me. It's never like bad. So, you know.
You'll allow it.
Miles, what are you allowing for number 13?
My 13 is Loras Tyrell.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun. Probably not like earth-shattering, but fun. I don't usually do the argument where it's like, oh, he has a true love or whatever, so he'd be thinking about someone else the whole time or whatever. But like, after Renly dies, he just doesn't seem super invested in any of his relationships. I don't know. I think Loras would be perfectly adequate, and that's about it.
All right. Well, what it ranks below adequate for you? Who's your number 14?
My number 14 is Ned Stark.
Okay.
Same.
Oh, nice. All right. It'd be fine. I just think he's really having sex with you because he feels like he has to for some reason.
It's a chore on his list.
Assuming you're not married to him, there's like gotta be some reason, and he's probably thinking about that. I think he's fine. I don't think Caitlyn ever expressed any kind of disappointment with his performance, but I just think his mind's off somewhere else, you know?
Krista, what did he do to earn 14 for you?
He's finished too early.
Oh. Tough but fair.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, Natasha, who did you have for 14?
I had Brienne.
Okay.
I think that everything that you guys said was pretty much why. Being sort of unsure of herself. I don't have a lot of patience. And I don't really feel like teaching things. I don't think that it would be bad. It would just be a lot of effort. And I don't feel like getting myself tied down. And I feel like if we had sex, it would be a pretty big deal for her. And she would probably get a bit attached also. And I don't want to break her heart.
Aw.
Yeah.
So it'd be unfair.
That's nice. My 14 is Catelyn Stark. Vanilla, I don't think you walk away from it necessarily without some scratches and bites, but I don't feel like they're special scratches and bites. I think she just is a little bit rough, and then there's a certain workmanlike quality to it, and I'm good. Krista, who's your number 15?
Sandor Clegane.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure he's gonna cry afterward. And that's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
And unsettling. And I've already dealt with unsettling if I'm having sex with him to begin with.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
All right. Miles, who's your number 15?
My 15 is Shay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, Krista. I know. But like, look, Sharon mentioned to me the other day that she thought that I was something called demisexual, which I had to look up. And demisexual is when you're attracted to people that you feel some kind of emotional connection to. And I don't feel anything about Shay. She's so boring to me. There's like a moment at the end of season 2 where I really liked some of what the writers of the show were doing with her and Sansa. I thought that was kind of a cool thing. But like, aside from that, I just don't... Like, I'm sure the sex would be good, but for me, I'm also thinking about, like, what's happening around the sex. Like, what kind of day is it? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? What event is leading up to the sex? You know what I mean? And with Shay, it's just like, you know, you pay her and she comes and she does a good job, and you probably do too. But like, there's not much there for me in the chest cavity, in the old heart area.
No.
All right. Speaking of not much there, my number 15, Jon Snow.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
Can you be mopey while fucking? Stay tuned and find out.
Absolutely. Speaking from personal experience.
All right, Natasha, who's your number 15?
Catelyn. Catelyn just seems very stead. It would be a lot of missionary. I feel like if I were to like pull out a strap on, she'd be freaked out.
Right.
I feel like she wouldn't have a lot of imagination or willingness to try new things.
Okay.
Chore-esque, workman-like, as MeganBob had said. I think that's a very good word for Catelyn's approach.
Natasha, who's your 16?
Samwell Tarly.
All right.
I can't think about Samwell Tarly and sex without thinking about
No, I know where this is going.
the fat pink mast
Kyo called it.
from the book.
God damn it. God damn it, Martin.
I'm not saying a fat pink mast is an inherently bad thing. So he's not like at the bottom. But again, I value skill. I don't feel like I want to teach. He's just like a very tender boy.
Right.
And I am not gentle. I don't think we would pair up well.
All right, Miles, who's your 16?
My 16 is Jon Snow. I love him as a character, one of my favorite characters in the books, if not the best one. The only thing I have written down here is inexperienced sad boy, so angst. So, not really what I'm looking for. Like, the whole time he would just be like, oh my god, we shouldn't be doing this because I'm a bastard.
Oh my god.
It's like, dude, will you get the fuck over it?
Say it again, but slow.
How do you fit in the bed with all of his fucking baggage? You're like, look,
Exactly.
are we just going to fuck on top of it? How is this going to even happen? All right. Speaking of people who there's a lot of sexual accoutrement happening, my 16 is Melisandre. Is she super into sex magic? Probably. Sure. Does she have a worrying amount of crystals and candles? I bet so. That's not necessarily a deal breaker, but I don't want somebody who is going to be banging me and also chanting something at the same time. I want to feel like you're in the room with me, not communing with whatever spirits. And also, I'm not ready to be a parent to shadow babies. Look, if we're going to have children, that's a conversation. This isn't something that you just do behind my fucking back, Melisandre. Okay, look, I'm going to get off my fucking shadow babies box about this. All right, who's your 16, Krista?
Natasha, can you take off your headphones for a second?
Oh, no.
So, my number?
No.
16.
No. Krista, no. Krista, don't do this.
Take off your headphones if you don't want to be a part of it.
Look at the flowers, Natasha.
Tormund.
No!
Oh, man.
I'm shocked. I, too, am, like, aghast at this. All right, what happened?
So, first off, I have misophonia. And he's not allowed to eat or drink anything near me ever.
Okay.
He's not allowed to eat anything, you say? No, actually no, because the wildlings don't know what that is. But also, he talks himself up too much. And as I have experienced and or heard from other friends, that is not a good sign.
If you're going to put him that low on the list, I feel like that is a fair reason to do so. Although I share some of Natasha's conflicted feelings about it. Although part of me's also like, more fucking Tormund for me. Natasha, who's your number 17?
Daenerys.
Really?
I feel like she's going to have a lot of trauma. And I'm really glad that at least in the book, the first sexual experience was consensual. And I'm putting an asterisk after that, obviously, for many, many reasons.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's not as it was portrayed in the show. However, she has to like work up to a point eventually where she's able to be in control of sex with Khal Drogo because he is just uninterested in her comfort or pleasure in any way. And after that, she's in control so much of the time because she's a queen and she basically has like a harem. And I don't mean that literally. There's not a group of men, but she has men at her beck and call should she wish to.
Sure.
I just feel like there's a lot going on there psychologically with her wanting to be in control at this point. It makes sense, but I don't want to get mixed up in it. I just feel like it would be a big mess.
Oof.
So she can go off with her bad self and good for her, but too much going on for me. Too much baggage.
Legit.
All right.
Miles, who's your 17?
My 17 is Sandor Clegane. Look.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
You didn't have to, but maybe y'all think bitter and angry is sexy, but it's not for me. And also, just very distinct chance of whiskey dick with that guy. All I'm saying, like, as somebody who drinks that much and spends that much time being shit-faced, I'm not into it on a social level, and I'm not into it on a sexual level, so.
All right. My number 17 is Ygritte. Probably really competitive in bed, and that can be fun, but that sounds like so much effort. And also, somebody who's going to openly call you out every time you do something that you're not great at. It's like, hey, you were shit at that. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't need that. And I don't want to welcome that into my life, into my bed, into anything. So she's hot. Good for her. I hope that she had all the sad dick she could possibly get from that Jon Snow fella. Krista, who's your number 17?
Number 17 is Catelyn Stark. I don't have mommy issues.
Okay.
And she's just basically mom. That is her entire being is mom.
Absolutely.
She really wanted to have more boy children is what I remember from the first book. And I can't do that for her. So she'd probably be bored when it happened at best.
Sure.
And like, well, there's nothing to do because it's, you know, winter, I guess. So let's keep warm, I suppose.
Workmanlike.
Continuing on with the workmanlike theme, my 18 is Eddard Ned Stark.
Okay.
I'm sure it's fine. That's the best I can say. And I hate that that's the best I can say about it. But I am sure it's fine. But honestly, I would rather have sad, bad sex that I remembered and had some kind of emotion about than have workmanlike, perfectly adequate sex that I never can remember for the rest of my life because it blended into the mass of sex. So I say as though I don't know what kind of life I'm painting for myself.
Sex mass.
Sex mass, yes. So Ned Stark, I'm sorry, but hey, you weren't 21. That's the best I can say for you, baby. All right, Miles, who's your 18?
My 18 is Jaime Lannister.
Oh, shit.
Look, he is a lover, not a fucker. He has been with one woman his entire life. He is in love with her. Her name is Cersei, and I'm not sure she was super interested in teaching him that well, because I don't think Cersei is into building anybody up or making anybody feel better about themselves. Plus, he's very into himself before the hand thing, and after the hand thing, all I'm saying is he needs time to get better with the prosthetic. He will get there, I'm sure, but right now he's still very fumbly with that thing. And with all these issues combined, he's not for me. I would, like, long-term relationship, I think Jaime would be a very devoted person. And I would love to help him get to use that prosthetic better.
Aww.
Like, I would be super into that. But for just a one-time sexual encounter, I'm going to pass.
Such a romantic. Krista, who's your 18?
My 18 is Tywin Lannister because I really don't have daddy issues. And I don't want to die horribly because I feel like if I had sex with him, then he'd give me to the mountain after that.
Oh, shit. All right, well.
I like that you guys had the same reaction exactly. So, yeah, hard pass on Tywin. Thank you.
All right. Natasha, who's your 18?
Shay.
Okay.
I just feel like having sex with Shay, it's going to feel like you're in a porn and not in a good way. I feel like she'd be very performy.
Oof.
And you'd never really get a good sense if she was actually enjoying herself or if she was just doing what she thought you wanted her to do.
That's an issue for me, too. Yeah.
It would be like the sort of thing where, like, yeah, she's super hot and maybe that would be enough, but I don't feel like I could see her really like letting go and getting into it the way that you need to for sex to actually be fun and good.
Sure.
Who ranks lower than that for you? Who's your 19, Natasha?
Loras.
Oh my God, we have the same 19. Mine is also Loras.
Hey!
What's your deal with Loras?
He would just be too busy looking at himself. He'd be doing like the Bateman kissing his bicep thing.
Oh no.
I wrote down too pretty, and I don't feel it for twinks. I'm way more into bears than I am into twinks, and
Same.
he's gorgeous.
He's very pretty.
I would watch him fuck somebody else and be like, all right, this is not a waste of my time.
As long as the other someone was a bear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that goes without saying. Krista, who's your 19?
My 19 is Cersei Lannister, and I have 2 words for you. Oh, you book readers. Mirish Swamp.
She right.
I don't remember that, but I'm afraid.
She's
not going to be any good at all. She's been with a lot of different people, but she doesn't care about any of them, really. Also, I don't want to die at the hands of Qyburn. So double no.
There you go.
All right, Miles, who's your 19?
Actually, also Cersei Lannister, and I have some big feels about this. Because here's the thing about Cersei. Would the actual sex be good? Maybe. There's a possibility. She's a very beautiful woman. She's experienced enough. She's fine. The thing about Cersei is, this exercise presumes that she is into you. But the more Cersei is into you, the more she also hates you for creating that weakness in her. Because she's fucking crazy pants. Two possibilities. Either the sex sucks, or it's great. But if it's great, it's bad for you because the better the sex is, the more the chance that she's going to have you executed afterwards. Or, even worse, she's going to make you some kind of pawn in one of her fucking schemes. Like, there's no such thing as just like a one-time fucking of Cersei. If you fuck Cersei, you are then like in her shit. You're in her fucking web of like scheming and politics. You can't just do it the one time and be done with it. Like, Salador-san might think he can. But you can't just, like, go and fuck Cersei and not be involved in everything else she's got going on. And that is not going to end well for you. The only thing to do about Cersei is to get as far the fuck away as you can, as literally everybody who has interacted with her or slept with her has found out or will find out.
I cannot believe that given that there are people below Cersei on your list, and I am fascinated to find out. Getting into number 20, I have Cersei as my number 20.
Okay.
For very similar reasons. The person who plots your downfall before, during, and after sex. And I don't want to say that could never be hot. But I think that in this case, it is very not hot. So I'm going to leave that on the table and just say, no, I pass. Natasha, who's your number 20?
Cersei.
Fair enough.
Everything that you guys cited, and overall, she just seems like somebody who, if you don't please her, that is also not going to go well for you. Like, if it goes really well, it's your fault. If it doesn't go well, it's your fault. And there's no good outcome. Nothing good comes of it.
Absolutely.
Krista, who's your number 20?
My number 20 is Melisandre, because I think I'd be as scared as Gendry is of her.
Yeah.
She is terrifying. And no. Also, I'm kind of ageist. And if that necklace slips off, holy fuck no.
Keep that thing on, baby.
Oh, man. All right, Miles, who's your 20?
My 20 is Jorah Mormont. The only thing I have written down next to his name is fuck off, incel.
He's my 21, Miles. I love you.
All right, yeah. At least with Cersei, there's a chance the sex is good, is all I'm going to say. Like, at least that part might happen. This motherfucker is just going to be out here stalking you, friend. You're not going to get anything out of it at all.
All right, that does bring us to the very bottom, the nadir. Krista, you put Jorah Mormont as your 21. Tell me why Jorah Mormont is the dregs of this fuckability list.
And I have big feels about this. Miles slightly stole my thunder.
Okay.
Because yes, I have incel written right next to him. Because fuck this guy in particular. Like, okay, yeah, I'm scared of Cersei and Melisandre, but there are Jorah Mormonts out there. They exist. And it's the fucking worst. And I just want to why did they have to find a cure for grayscale? Fuck this guy. Like, I don't know. Like, I hope it fell off during that process. Fuck him.
Fucking turned to stone and fell right off.
Oh, you have a crush on a child because she looks like your ex-wife who never liked you in the first place but liked your cash?
God.
Like, grow a pair, go to therapy.
I hate him so much.
Fucking die. Just die.
And he's even worse in the books, because at least in the show you get to look at Ian Glenn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just a waste of carbon.
Natasha, who's your 21?
Melisandre.
Okay.
I just don't see that sex with her would ever actually be sex. I think she's just got this addiction to the magic. I mean, she has amazing tits.
Yeah.
She is super hot, but then I would turn around and she'd be pulling out leeches and I would be tied helpless to the bed. And she would be as surprised as me because she was like, I really did want to have sex with you. Like, I didn't plan this,
Right.
but I got to take the opportunity,
Oh
you know?
my God.
So it's the shadow baby thing. I don't need to have that blood on my hands.
She's my 21 as well, for very similar reasons. If Melisandre's having sex with you, it's probably because she thinks you're the chosen one. And if you're not, it's gonna suck.
Yep.
And even if you are, regardless, sex with her is just like slowly draining away your life force to create shadow assassins, and I'm not into that.
That's not a kink of yours?
No. I don't like being tied down, and I don't like having my life force drained away for shadow assassin babies. So
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
Cross that kink off our list.
My number 21 is Daenerys Targaryen.
what?
I like to fuck people who have a passing relationship with reality. I'm sorry. That's just a weird, specific thing for me that I like people who are somewhat existing in the real world. I don't know. I'm not going to apologize for it. It's just how I feel.
It's fine. All right, well, with that revelation, as we got to the bottom of this list, our boners all turned to stone and fell off. But now let's go ahead and unpetrify them and put them back on, because we're going up to the top. So, starting with number 10, Krista, who's your number 10?
My number 10 is Marjorie Tyrell.
Hey, me too.
This is getting weird.
Hey, look.
Marjorie Tyrell, she's pretty. She's probably dutiful in bed. You know, because who's she with? Renly?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the shows her being with Renly and basically doing that so that maybe they can get an heir. She apparently is still a virgin. She is very careful of protecting that according to the books. Thank you. I don't know if she knows anything or if she doesn't. She seems very nice.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I have it that she knows what you want. She's okay at playing the game or whatever and manipulating people like that. And she's got a decent heart, which I like, but she is very young.
Yeah.
And that comes up many times. And the older I get, the less I just can't imagine that anyone like under the age of 25 is good at sex ever. That can't be a thing. Let's see, MeganBob, how about you?
Samwell Tarly's my number 10. Thinks you're amazing, and crucially, I think he makes the, oh my God, sound every time you take off your bra, no matter like what's going on, he will say that because he thinks it's amazing that you have tits and was just like in awe of it. And like, that's got to be good for the ego. And that's enough for me. Like for 10, that will get you to number 10.
Honestly, MeganBob, you're making me rethink everything right there with that statement because so true.
Thank you. You know what? Justice for Samwell Tarly makes the, oh my God. What a good boy.
Yes.
Natasha, who's your number 10?
John.
Okay. All right. Highest ranking for him.
I don't mind Mopey.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not somebody that I want to hang out with, but sometimes it expresses wildly during sex.
Oh, yeah.
He goes down on Ygritte without knowing what that is.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Which, in my opinion, points to a lot of imagination. He's just like, well, I just feel like putting my mouth all over you. And I'm like, okay, sure. And just in general, seems like he would be very eager to please. It would be something that would be on his mind. He really is a self-aware, self-critical person, much more so than a lot of the men in this series. That can go either way, but I feel like with him, it would go a good way where he'd just really be like, all right, I'm going to think about who you are and what you are like. And I feel like it would work out.
That's the strongest case I have ever heard for him. And you are making me go, you know what? I put him a little lower than maybe I should have.
Yeah, seriously.
Just wait.
Bob, where did you put number 9?
Bronn.
Okay.
You said this with such a tone, like, everybody don't yell at me.
Because Bronn for me is tourism of your 20s. It's like getting in a time machine and going, hey, remember all those dudes you fucked who were like okay at sex but kind of pieces of shit? You want to go back there? And it's like, yeah, you know what? For the old time's sake, like sometimes you drink cheap beer because you're like, it reminds you of being young or something. Fucking Bronn makes you feel like you're in your 20s and you're like, yes, he used all the toilet paper and didn't replace the roll. I've had the complete experience. This was fucking a dude in my 20s. So, Bronn, thanks for all the memories, baby.
Interesting. Krista, how about you?
Number 9 is Ygritte, because how boring are the wildlings if they've never heard of oral sex?
I mean,
I maintain she hasn't heard of it.
she's never heard of it.
Yes.
They're very open about sex up there. I also am afraid of redheads.
Oh, wow.
I'm actually surprised that she's as high as she is for you.
Yeah, it was just, she wasn't going to try and kill me, so there was that.
That's like better than half the people on this list.
Exactly, and she's very pretty.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't feel guilty about it, so sure.
All right, Natasha, who's 9 for you?
Tywin Lannister.
All right.
I like the danger. I like the power. It feels like if you fucked him for that night, you would be treated like fucking royalty.
Thank you.
It would just be quite an experience. It'd be like you spend your whole paycheck on one night at a really good hotel and you're like broke after and maybe things are ruined for a while, but you do have that one night that you got to just go all out. Again, I like domineering. I have no doubt that he would just be take charge man. And I'm about it.
Well, my number 9 is Catelyn Stark.
Oh, okay.
And I have big feels about this. In this big feels in particular, I can't separate the books from the show.
Okay.
They're such completely different characters. The show just changed everything about, not everything about her, but like really dramatically different. And I think she's the character that might have suffered the most from the age up. Because in the books, she's the epitome of like noble woman sexy. She's like early 30s. She's had some kids. She's still super hot. She knows the rules of her society and she does them well. Here's the main thing though. And here's the reason that I think that I'm so much higher on Catelyn than all of you. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm the only person here who has had mom/baby making sex. And one thing that I've discovered over the last couple of years with Sharon being pregnant is that pregnancy really fucking does it for me. My wife, when she's pregnant, is so fucking hot. And, like, her being a good mom is also so fucking hot. And so, like, this is a very personal thing for me. Mom sex is great.
Okay.
And so, the fact that Catelyn is so thoroughly defined by being a mom is a plus for me. She would have been higher. And I have, like, a lot of conflicted feelings about her character in the book. I don't love her in the book. I think she's a really interesting person that I'm, like, not always on her side. But, like, I definitely always want to fuck her. And she would have been higher if not for, I factored in, like, the fact that I definitely want to fuck less Michelle Fairley's character in the show. That brought her down on the list a little bit for me. But, like, that brought her down to number 9, if that tells you anything.
All right. You know what? You're kind of selling me on this pregnant mom fucking? All right.
Don't knock it until you've tried it, is all I'm saying. Let's go back to Christopher number 8.
Jaime Lannister, shocking everyone.
High for him.
Yes, he's only had sex with 2 women.
Oh, in the show.
In the show.
Right.
Oh, right, because in the show he fucks Brienne, that's right.
But even in the books, he has a thing for Brienne. And so he's very pretty, but according to the books, he doesn't care about pretty.
Interesting.
I see it.
Because he has women throwing themselves at him all the time, and he says no. And even after he's done with Cersei, he only goes for Brienne. I just feel like he is into more than just looks, and that would be interesting.
All right. I think that's reasonable logic.
Agree.
My number 8's Sam Tarley.
Aww.
Probably because there's part of my brain that really just wants to fuck another me.
Aww.
Because, like, you know...
I think you're more like Jaime Lannister, honey.
Oh, well, that's very sweet of you. I think I'm more of the cowardly, overweight, book-loving type, personally. I get the whole thing about not wanting to teach. He's very inexperienced, and he would be very much, like, worshipful / questioning. But I think for him, I'm willing to go there. And I think it would be a really cool day of, like, listening to music and dancing and talking about books. And I don't know, I'm just really into this Sam experience, you know what I mean? Probably, again, because I see very much of myself in him, and I'm very into the me experience.
Sorry, that's just very lovely.
So yeah, with Sam, he's enough that I'm willing to go to that tender teaching place for him. Natasha, who's your 8?
My 8 is Sandor.
Okay.
And here's why. Because I have poor judgment. Sandor is just one of those broken guys that I would really be, like, first of all, super curious. He feels so beaten sometimes, but then there's this occasional flare up of, like, defiance and anger. So I'd be like, oh, will it be, like, angry sex? Or will it be, I'll just, like, lay back and let you do whatever? I would want to know. There would be that curiosity. And there would also be that unfortunate, primarily female impulse of, I can fix him. Oh, I can maybe make him a little bit better, which is bad news, but it's there. It's still there. I have it a little. And I feel like he would really trigger that for me a lot.
Okay. All right. MeganBob, who's your number 8?
Tyrion Lannister.
Cool.
I think it's going to be fun, carefree. It's going to be amazing. I think I may not remember all of it. I think there's a lot of alcohol involved. That's totally fine. And I bet it's a great time. But I don't think you're necessarily getting a special connection out of it. And you're not feeling like you're anything different than the other women that he's been with. And that's fine, too. It's going to be like going to a really great chain restaurant. You're going to get something delicious and you're going to love it. But it's not going to be a unique once-in-a-lifetime experience. That will get you to number 8 for me, and you know what? I bet it's fucking great.
While we're on the subject, what gets you to number 7?
Jorah Mormont.
Oh boy.
I was wondering what the great Bob outlier would be for this episode.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
I didn't think I wanted to be deflowered, but something about that much earnest eye contact, I'm kind of interested in trying it. I think you're going to be laid down on a bed of flowers and he is going to stare at you with such intensity. And then as you fall asleep, he's going to stroke your hair and make you breakfast in the morning. And that's not my thing, but I am very interested in finding out how I do feel about it beyond just going like, I don't think it's for me, but who knows? Maybe it is. I'm willing to find out.
You're intrigued by the mystery.
I am. And also Ian Glenn's fucking hot.
I mean, look, I'm going to use that argument for a couple other people later on, so I'm not going to deny it to you here. Natasha, who's your number 7?
Mine is Bronn.
Okay.
For the same reasons that Krista said, which is that he's like seedy.
Give me
I just kind of like that sometimes. Like sometimes you just want to slum it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like going to fast food.
Oh, yeah.
I'm horny and I want to come and he's going to do it and it's going to be quick and done. And then we'll be able to move on with our lives and he isn't going to be fucking like hanging around and calling me. But I know he will be there next time I need him, you know, reliable.
Hey,
fair enough.
Natasha, it's totally that kind of like bathroom of a club sex, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
If the floor is not sticky before and after, what are you even fucking doing fucking this man?
You come out of there and people are like, what happened? Did you fall down? Yes. Many times.
Yes, I did.
On that dick.
Over and over and over again.
Oh, gosh. All right, Krista, who's your 7?
7 is Brienne of Tarth, and I was actually surprised by Natasha's statements because I believe Natasha once famously said she wanted Brienne to step on her.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Gwendolyn Christie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. We have a pulse.
Step on me many times.
Yeah, because in that case, I will make the exception and teach her. Because she's very good at studying and learning physical movements. I think if you got past all the barriers, they would be awesome. She would be great.
I really like seeing what all of our like priorities are sexually.
Yeah.
You know, because like Miles is clearly very emotional about who he's interested in. And I'm just like, efficiency is like one of my primary concerns.
I mean, I could have called that prior to the start of recording because you use your planner and my planners go to waste. I have dozens of them.
Fair. Chris is like, I'm willing to put in the effort. And I'm like, next.
Yeah.
I see the incredible potential there.
My 7 is Egret.
All right.
What I have written down for Egret is take me to your cave and tell me your ghost stories.
That's a euphemism I haven't heard before.
The scene with her and Jon where they go down in the caves and fuck and they're like, we don't ever want to come out is like kind of an ideal situation for me. Like, especially because I really love like spelunking and I love being underground. Just that bit alone, I'm like, top 10.
Oh, that's amazing.
You have a boner for caves.
I do. I like
They're very symbolic.
I love you so much.
Natasha beat me to it.
I've never had cave sex, but I aspire to have cave sex. Plus, I just like her. Like, I get what you were saying about what she was saying and everything, but that's Jon. Come on. I would have a better relationship with her than Jon, I think. Natasha, who's your 6?
Egret.
Okay, great.
Yeah, she just seems like she'd be very high energy. And sometimes I can be real lazy about sex and I need somebody to like take the lead just because I'm like, I mean, I could just go to sleep though. And she would be the one who would be like, no, come on, let's fuck. And I'd be like, fine,
Yeah.
I think that would be a big plus for me. And also when Jon goes down on her, her reaction isn't like, what are you doing? It's just, all right. She's very open-minded and willing to try things.
And then she starts directing him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm for it.
I definitely like a woman who will tell me what to do. Who will be upfront about, like, no, go a little to the left. You know, I'm like, okay, thank you so much, because I really want to do this for you. Krista, who's your 6?
6 is Jon Snow.
Wow, okay.
All right.
My reason is this reason alone. I want to know what it's like when this boy understands that there is birth control in the world. Because I think that would change everything for him.
Man, you're not wrong.
Get rid of that baggage.
I mean,
You're not wrong.
again, Lord's Kiss came up with it on his own. Has a golden ratio ass.
That is a good ass.
He pays a lot of attention to everything going on around him.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Good arguments. Man, sometimes I wish I could change my list after the fact. My number 6 is Tyrion Lannister. You gotta love a good person who, like, wants really hard to be a bad person, right? Who's, like, trying so hard to project this image of being an asshole. And, you know, if you can get through that, you can see, like, the gem underneath. And Tyrion, you know, he goes through a lot of shit. By the end of the book series, as far as we are, he's not great. I don't want to fuck broken-ass Book 5 Tyrion Lannister. But for, like, Tyrion at his best, I think, as opposed to his siblings, years of being kind of shit on and, like, not thinking he's, like, incredibly great because he's a Lannister would make him better in bed, I think. So I think Tyrion's a pretty fucking great lay. And I would like to hang out with him over the course of that day as well. MeganBob, who's your 6?
Oberyn Martell, and that is only because of how big my feelings are about my top 5.
Okay.
He knows all the sex. He knows all the sex. He treats women like people, which round here is a real plus sometimes.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any hangups. That smile. That fucking smile. I feel basic, but yeah.
I'll start because I think I'm the highest on this person, or maybe not, but at least I have him pretty high. My number 5 is Bronn.
Oh. You want that dirty club sex?
I think the floor with Bronn is so low. Because, like, even if, like, shit goes wrong and the sex ends up being awkward and weird, like, he's not going to have hang-ups about it. Like, he's just going to be like, oh, well, that was weird. Let's go do something else. And then we'll try again later. You know what I mean? Like, Bronn, I think he's fun. He's fucking hilarious. He's everybody's favorite character. Got the best dialogue in the series. He'd be great to hang out with. He's pretty experienced at sex, at least. I don't know how good he is at it, but nobody, as far as I can tell, complains. I just think you're having a good time no matter what, with the potential for a great time. So he's right at the start of my top 5.
I approve of this.
MeganBob, your top 5, you made a big deal out of, so who's number 5 for you?
Tywin Lannister.
Okay.
What a daddy.
Yep.
Fucks with his clothes on.
Oh, he does.
Never, ever stays the night. It is the most precise and unrelenting sex of your fucking life. Natasha?
Our priorities are aligned a lot of the time, I'm seeing.
See, I'm so terrified that man is a sub.
Oh
my God.
Oh, don't. That's a cursed phrase. Don't say that.
I have a lot of feelings about that. I have a lot of conspiracy theories.
I want to get into more of your feelings. Who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Marjorie.
Okay.
Again, I like the danger. She's just playing games all the time, and I would just be like, you're super hot, and your games are better constructed than Cersei's. So even if I get caught in one, I'm not necessarily in danger for my life the way that I would definitely be with Cersei. And I'd be interested to see, like, what role I'm supposed to play as your little pawn. She just seems like, you know, she's willing to try some things out with Renly because she's aware that he's into her brother, and she's just like, well, we'll figure it out. It's fine.
That scene is actually a really great Marjorie scene where she's like, do you want him to come in and help?
Yeah.
You know, like, she's just really game for anything. And
It's her brother, though.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. This bitch is practical.
Yeah.
You know, I admire that. So yeah, Marjorie.
Yeah.
I'm here for her.
Krista, who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Daenerys Targaryen.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Because I am basic. She is hot.
She's higher for me.
She's had a lot of experience. The only downside is that I would feel like a vibrator.
There's worse things.
Right?
True.
Thus number 5.
Krista, who's your number 4?
Yara Greyjoy.
Absolutely.
Because, like, this will be the best time ever as long as there are no Greyjoys alive. That she is the last one. None of them are left. And they have to all be dead because distance doesn't mean anything in Game of Thrones. So they could just show up at any second.
Yeah.
And
Right.
True.
no fucking thanks. But her? Yes.
Okay. Number 4 for Natasha.
My 4 is Tyrion. After MeganBob's arguments, I do see what they mean in terms of comparison to a very good chain restaurant. It all sort of depends on Tyrion's mindset, because what I was sort of thinking was that he would have a lot of experience, and that would be very good. And he would be somebody that's always sort of trying to prove himself because he just feels like somebody trying to prove all the time. I think that he would want to leave me as somebody who goes home and tells everybody, oh, I just had the craziest sex of my life. Oh my God. He wants that, like, word of mouth out there.
Yeah.
So I think that he would really bring it, and it wouldn't be necessarily like the most inventive sex, but I think that he would just be willing to try all kinds of things. I feel like he'd be very attuned, and somebody with something to prove, they tend to go one way or another. They can overcompensate, and it's really awkward, and you can feel what they're doing. So I could be very wrong about it, but I like to think that with all of his practice, he's actually able to back it up.
Who's your number 4, MeganBob?
Marjorie Tyrell.
Okay.
I have nothing written down except she's going to smirk like she knows a secret the entire time, and I don't care if I never find out what it is.
And my number 4 is Tormund.
Okay.
Look, I buy the hype. I believe it. I think he can do what he says he does. The bit in the show where he's like, your cock shouldn't touch her until she's as slippery as a baby seal or whatever. Fuck yeah. That dude knows what he's doing. He's a sex legend. master of foreplay. And also, I'm just kind of into the wildling experience in general. If Osha was on this list, she'd be super high. I'm very into the whole wildling shtick. So, Tormund's number 4 for me. Natasha, who's your 3?
Oberyn.
Oh.
Okay.
Oberyn is just so fine.
Yeah.
That scene where he just like real quick slides his hand over a candle flame. I paused and rewound like several times, just like that was it. And I was like, oh my God. He just doesn't have any constraints. He's like, yeah, I fuck men. I fuck women.
Yeah.
If you're hot, you're hot. I don't fucking care. Thank you. I love it. Bisexual men for the win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The overall sort of fluidity of the way he moves feels really promising to me. The accent, it's just everything. I'm into all of it. I would very much like some of that, please. Thank you.
All right, Bob, who's 3 for you?
Big feels.
I know exactly what's coming right now.
Okay.
Should I just say? I know the exact name you're going to say.
Yara Greyjoy.
Oh, actually, it wasn't the one.
She smells like the ocean. She has calluses on her fingers and this wind-tossed hair. She's going to taste like ale, and she's going to grab your hair so hard, and she's never going to apologize. I would be her cabin boy any day of the fucking week.
Absolutely.
Take me on your boat, you beautiful woman.
Krista, who's your 3?
My 3 is Oberyn Martell.
Okay.
He would be number 1, except I would be concerned he would be distracted by another person just passing by.
Yeah.
He might hear the steps of another person, and he seems to have a little bit of ADD, which is not a bad thing, but it is during that period if there's not a lot of focus. But otherwise, holy good God, please, yes, yes.
Yeah, he's my 3 too, for basically all the reasons that everybody has elucidated. I will add to that what I have written down here, which is give me that scholarly, revolutionary, vengeful, bisexual Pedro Pascal sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think he's great. I totally agree with Krista's point that the total disdain for monogamy is a little... In this situation, it's hardly a deal breaker. We might want to feel a little bit more special, but I guess he'll make me feel special for that night. He was almost number 2. I will say he was very close to being number 2. But ultimately, my number 2 had to be Daenerys Targaryen. And I have big feels about this. Daenerys, I think, for me, is the ultimate I would put in the work for this person. Especially because I have so many issues with her in the books. She is so fucking frustrating. The decisions she makes and the way she is in the books and in the show are so fucking frustrating. And I think she has deep-seated issues that need to be resolved, not only for the sake of our partnership, but for the sake of the goddamn country. I will absolutely be the one to work through her trauma by her side, whether it only takes a night, however long it fucking takes, I don't care. Beyond the fact she's canonically good at sex. She is taught to have sex. A person who is good at having sex teaches her how to do it. But later as things goes on, she's got kind of the sexy, like, fucking hot tyrant, like, you know, the way she says Dracarys kind of shit going on. But, like, you also know that she loves doing that, but she also, now that she's in charge, she kind of wants somebody to come in and dominate her, and that would be okay too. You know, I don't know. I just have a lot of feelings about Daenerys. As a character, I often find her frustrating, but kind of like what I said with Caitlin, I never don't want to fuck her. Especially because Emilia Clarke is Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, let's be fair.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, Natasha, who is it?
Yara,
Okay.
aka Asha, primarily for book readers, due to the scene with her and her lover, whose name I am forgetting. They have a very hot consensual non-consent scene. She is large and in charge with her crew, but she cuts loose with this guy in a way that was just... George R.R. Martin is real bad at writing sex scenes, and this is like one of the 2 that was actually very hot.
It's a really great sex scene.
It's a little bit surprising, too, because at first you're like, wait, what? And then you go, oh, I see what's happening here. The only difficulty there is because I often like to be the one dominated, and so does she. So I'd have to try and switch, or she'd have to try and switch. But I think that we're both on the same page enough with like our overall kink that it would be fine. We would figure it out. I just really enjoy the fact that she is large and in charge in life. I admire that greatly. She's just so willing to do what the fuck she feels like doing. I really enjoy her as a character, and I think that she'd be a lot of fun.
All right, Krista, who's your 2?
My 2 is Tyrion Lannister. Please and thank you.
Okay.
What everybody said, but also I really like Peter Dinklage's voice. The man is hot AF. I just like a smart person a lot. And he's also, again, observant, if we notice a trend here. So communication is great, but also if they can figure things out, that is so nice.
Absolutely. All right, MeganBob, number 2.
Tormund Giantsbane.
Yay! I don't understand you people. I just don't.
Okay, the guy that appreciates your strength and gets a boner whenever you flex your arm and open a jar of pickles. Like, you're in the kitchen, you're just like, and he just goes, oh my God, and then eats you out on the kitchen counter. Because he's like, that's the hottest shit I've ever seen. You took that jar of pickles down like it was nothing, babe. And you're like, I fucking did.
Well, then I feel like we might as well go back to Natasha for number 1.
Why? What do you mean?
Natasha, who's your number 1? Please reveal the mystery.
It's Tormund Giantsbane, everybody!
What's your Tormund Giantsbane fantasy, Natasha?
Okay, so I'm going to read, because Miles alluded to this, but the whole quote, most men fuck like dogs. No grace, no skill. A few dozen thrusts and done. You need to be patient. Give her time. Your cock shouldn't go near her till she's slick as a baby seal. And then you go inside, but slowly. Don't jam it in like you're spearing a pig. That is my whole argument. Thank you for coming.
That's such a beautiful TED Talk.
Well said. Well said. So, Krista, I don't think Tormund is number 1 for you.
No.
But who is?
So, Miles,
Yeah.
you said about Daenerys that she has been taught by someone who is good at sex to be good at sex.
Yes, I did.
Because she, if I recall correctly, is taught by someone who used to be a prostitute, yes?
Yeah, she was someone in Lys, right?
Yes.
Yeah, one of the pleasure houses.
Pleasure Houses of Lys, that's right.
So we have a prostitute on this list. Named Shay, who works her way up in the ranks. And we know where she started. So she's got to be pretty fucking good. And honestly, I'm not looking to have a house with this woman. I don't care. I'd like to have a good time.
I will respond to you when we get to Let's Unpack That, because I have responses.
I do want to say, though, the math checks out.
And if anything, I am definitely calculating.
Okay.
I'm the opposite of Miles. I'm a terrible human being.
That's not at all true. My number 1, I had a feeling that this might be controversial when I first made my list. I was like, oh, interesting, that's my number 1. But now that I've heard everybody, it's like, that's not controversial at all. My number 1's Yara Greyjoy. Basically everything Natasha said, except I like being dominant, so it works out. I love that scene in the books. I love Asha in the books. I love the fucking Kingsmoot bit where she kicks over all the chests of the stones and the shells or whatever, and she makes that argument. I just love her vibe in general. Like, she's super confident and like badass and, like Natasha said, in control, but she's also like not a terrible person. She does a lot of things that make sense. She's smart. She wants the best things for people. In the show, she goes after Theon when he's in the fucking Dreadfort. Like, I'll finish this off by saying what's written down here, which is that she is the hot pirate queen of my dreams.
Yum yum.
All right, MeganBob, speaking of dreams, let's talk about your number 1. And there's only one character left, Bob, and I want to hear about it.
Sandor Clegane.
Yep. I was tracking this with your list.
The biggest feels. Rough, gruff, and ready to love maybe if I banged him enough?
Oh my God.
I will break down the wall that is your emotional armor, and I will love you, you dumb piece of shit.
It's the fix me thing!
Also, but I want to say, Natasha, there's no downside. Because if you don't fix him, you get fucked against a wall. What's the worst that can happen? Nothing.
Crying afterward.
Whiskey dick!
Cry on me, or else we will lay on this fucking bed and I will touch your scar and say that, you know what, I think you're beautiful. And he'll go, shut up, you're stupid. And I'll go, you're stupid. Oh my God.
Sounds compelling.
I have read reams of fucking fanfic about this goddamn man. Novels about what he fucks like because he's so goddamn beautiful and I love him and I care about him so much. Ugh. I want to be clear, and this is cruel, I still want him to be a little bit broken. Like, I don't want to fix him all the way.
There's nobody who can fix him all the way. There's no fixing that.
I want that gate to still be a little creaky. All right.
All right, well, we've done it. We've all presented all of our lists. I'm sure there's lots to unpack. And that's why we have a segment called Let's Unpack That. And this is the segment where everybody gets to choose one choice made on someone else's list and ask them to clarify their feelings about it a little bit. So, Krista, with Shay... I get what you're saying, but it's not like Shay is like one of the famous courtesans of Bravos or whatever. They picked her up in the military camp on the Green Fork. I'm not saying she's bad at sex. I'm just saying there's no reason to think she's particularly good at it. She's just pretty, which is why they had to stab somebody to take her away from some other knight. Is there anything besides the fact that she is supposedly good in bed that led you to put her in the vaulted spot of number 1?
Okay, Miles. I don't care about anything other than will it be a good time. I don't.
Okay.
I have the same question, though. Because, Krista, you said she worked her way up. Through whom? She just got selected for her face.
She started out when she didn't want to be working in the kitchens when,
Sure,
you know, they were nervous that she was going to get killed by Tywin.
Oh, yeah.
And she refused because she's like, no, I already did this and I'm not doing it again. So she started there and she kept on going up. And Bronn is not a bad judge of character or fucking.
Okay.
She's not even like physically my type, but I want to have a good time. That's what this is for. I'm not good at like the romantic stuff.
That's fine. And she is a much more interesting character in the show than she is in the book, so we'll give her that.
They decided to make her a person. It was a wacky idea. It might just work.
Could have done more in that regard, in my opinion, but yes.
Yes, they could have.
Miles.
Yeah, what? What's up?
You, and this is very much about the fact that you did this. You put Sandor at 17.
I did.
Miles, you love fixing people. You have a real thing for like a fixer-upper. I am shocked at you. Okay, even with the whiskey dick, I want you to imagine the female equivalent of Sandor, rough, battle-scarred, butch woman, scar on face, but like also sad and broken. 17? Where is your kind heart and like, you know, boner for fixing this? I'm shocked.
When it comes to like sad people or like hurt people or people who have baggage, I do enjoy fixing them. When it comes to people who are just assholes, look, I get that his brother was horrible to him. I get that he's got all this pain or whatever, but Sandor Clegane, I'm sorry, you have to be a little bit less of a bitter piece of shit at first encounter for me to be willing to even start with that conversation. You have to be a little bit less of a dude who just kills children because somebody tells you to and does all these horrible things and justifies it because your brother was super mean to you and burned your face. It's worse childhood than most, I get it, but there's a certain point where I'm not going to be willing. I'm not even going to touch that shit with a 10-foot pole. And Sandor Clegane is much too angry, not sad and hurt enough, too angry and bitter. There's way too much of that for me. I'm not going near it. That's my answer.
I feel like a worse person now, but also my boner remains unflagging.
If you're willing to go through that to get to the tender nugget of goodness inside, Bob, more power to you. I hope that Sandor finds you someday, and, I hope that he finds somebody who's willing to go through that shit, because it's gonna be a fucking process.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think you're getting through that in a single night.
No.
So I hope that he finds the person who's willing to go to that place for him. I hope he does that, but it's not me.
Okay, fair enough.
Natasha, Brienne? Is that low for you?
She just seems like a lot of work, man. She's fine. But, fineness can only take you so far. I'm not here to just look at you.
What if she did step on you?
That's half of it. What about the other half? What then? Yes, I'm close to coming. Okay, fine. But not quite there.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Natasha, was the one where you joined me on Krista, was that yours?
Yeah, I think so with Shay. I stand by my feeling of just, I don't trust that Shay is going to be honest about whether she's having a good time, which is just such a massive factor for me, that the good time part, it wouldn't happen for me with Shay. Mm-hmm. So
in this situation, I just wouldn't give a shit. I just wouldn't.
That's fair. Yeah, that's just that's a big factor for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not usually okay with that, but in this situation, I would be, because it's look, it's up to you if you want to have a good time or not. You decide whether you're on the clock or not.
Oh.
Okay.
Also, guys, I had to fight tooth and nail to get Shay on this list at all.
That's very true.
It is.
You did.
We all had to fight some battles to get our various boners represented on this one. But there were so many characters to choose from.
There are so many characters in the stupid series.
I can't believe you guys. I just really can't.
I thought we were mostly doing the books, and that's why I didn't put Tormund Giantsbane on the original one. And then whenever it was we're doing the show, then I was obviously Tormund Giantsbane needs to be on this list because, he's hella fuckable.
Okay, fair.
I literally did not put him on because I wanted your reaction. Because as we know...
Because I was trolling you.
I just like needling the shit out of people.
It was every other sentence as I covered the show was just, oh, and what about Tormund this episode, huh? Did you see Tormund? And definitely MeganBob's point about how he admires the strength. Is the big woman here?
Yeah.
Is she coming?
Yeah.
Just the constant and the looking at her. And there's certainly something problematic to be said about how uncomfortable she clearly is and that he is doing it anyway.
Yes, thank you.
I don't care. It's fine. We are all allowed one treat of this is problematic, and that's my treat.
Absolutely.
Mine is all treats. It's a fucking mess.
I mean, you got Yara, so there's that.
That's me. It's the reverse. It's I am allowed one person who's not a garbage bag.
I mean, Marjorie is also not a garbage bag. Your women are fine.
I like decent women, sort of. And then I like assholes. These are the two flavors.
Delicious.
I want to confess right here and now, as we were going along, Tywin kept moving higher and higher up my list.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised at how high he ended up on mine.
He started out at number 9 on my list, and then as we were going along, I was like, nope, he's got to move higher up. Even now, I'm I mean, he's not giving Sandor a run for his money, but, he's up there.
Who hurt you?
Who hurt me?
I definitely, when I saw his name, was kind of really? And then after thinking about it, I was like, oh, no, this makes sense.
Nobody hurt me. I'm trying to get him to hurt me. That's the problem.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No. I love you too much. Please, no.
No, I want the scratch of his wool suit upon my body.
The scratch of his wool suit.
Because he's not taking that off.
When you said he has sex fully clothed, I just fell over because you're 100% right. He probably still has his weapons on him and shit. I hope so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Flat of the sword, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I was picturing him as my classics professor or something.
My God.
I was in an AU with this man.
Oh, God.
Strict professor vibes from Tywin Lannister.
We should probably question MeganBob, but I feel like we just did.
No, you don't have to.
The thing about it is that MeganBob gets questioned on every other episode, so I think they pretty much said everything they needed to say about their choices they made.
Our lists are not identical, but we have a very similar approach, and so I have no questions of any kind. I understand completely.
I know. The boner in me recognizes and celebrates the boner in you. Now I'm sad because I feel like Natasha and I can't be on an episode together again because our boners are too similar.
Miles and I were more similar than I thought we would be.
I think Game of Thrones had a lot to do with that. I think that the source material really meant there was a stark divide. Haha.
Get it.
I see what you did there.
Between what was arguably acceptable and then what is just beyond the pale. There were a couple of outliers, but for the most part, it was like, no, there's the shitbags and then there's the people who you could conceivably fuck. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, it's now time to reveal the aggregate here. The list goes as follows. I'm not sure we've ever had this much agreement at the top before. The list goes as follows. Number 1, Yara Greyjoy.
Yum yum.
Number 2, Oberyn Martell. Number 3, Tyrion Lannister. Number 4, Tormund Giantsbane. Number 5, Bronn. Number 6, Ygritte. Number 7, Sandor Clegane.
What?
You're welcome, honey. I did it for you.
I swear we need to teach you guys a different kind of math where statistics are a little more sane.
Number 8, Tywin Lannister. Number 9, Brienne. Number 10, Shay. Mm-hmm. Thanks to Krista. Number 11, Daenerys. Number 12, Jon. Number 9, 10, and 11, there's a tie between Brienne, Shay, and Daenerys.
Okay.
Then we have a tie between Jon and Sam.
That is
Aw.
interesting.
That's adorable.
Then another tie between Marjorie and Jaime. Then Catelyn, Ned, Jorah, Loras. And then down at the bottom, tied for last, are Melisandre and Cersei.
I mean, fair.
So that means that the number 11 spot is going to fall in that Dany, Brienne, Shay range. And the one where we are least far apart in that one is... I want to say it's Brienne. Yeah. Because the difference between the top and bottom for Shay is 1 and 18. And the difference for Dany is 2 and 21. Whereas Brienne, the difference between top and bottom there is 7 and 14. So our official median, the median fuckability of the Game of Thrones universe from these characters is Brienne of Tarth.
You know what? That's not bad.
I'm happy with that.
I feel okay with that.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
And now we have to discuss the fuckability.
Very quickly.
We have to discuss the overall fuckability of this universe and give it a ranking out of 10 boners. And keep in mind, the larger scope of this universe.
Not just the characters we ranked.
Let's think about the universe as a whole, because I think our list really had to pare down the overall world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
with that in mind, Miles, out of 10 boners, how fuckable is Westeros?
Yeah, to start with me. I'm gonna give Westeros, I'll give it a 7.
Wow. All right.
I'll give it a 7. All right, you know what? I'll give it an 8. I'll go up to 8.
Holy crap. Okay.
I'll go up to 8 because there's a lot of super hot people, but also a lot of terrible people who will, after they're done with you, do various things with you, as we've discussed. On a final note, justice for Mira Reed.
Yes.
Mira Reed would have been very high on my list if she'd been on here.
Yeah.
But I knew there was no point in even suggesting her.
All right. Krista, overall out of 10 boners.
3.
3. All right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harsh.
But fair.
Natasha, yeah, how are you going to land on this out of 10 boners?
I'm going to give it a 9
All right.
because, most of the men are fucked up in the way that I like the best. And I'm not worried about what happens afterward. This is about fuckability, not consequences. It's fine.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, yeah, this is my exact demographic of a little bit too brutal, which is what I like. So,
I was going to give it a 4, but you're swaying me with this argument. I am going to give it a 5. I want to say 6, but there's a world with no toothbrush. So I got to say, I'll give it a 5.
The level of STIs
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm assuming that I'll die immediately after any of these sexual encounters. This is George R. R. Martin.
Fuckability, not consequences. I stand by that.
Yeah, but it's gonna be gross looking.
These are lumpy dicks.
I would, like, definitely fuck the top, like, 14 or 15 on my list. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I think this one's pretty top-heavy.
Wow.
My yeses stopped at 4. I was like, nope, nope. You're very pretty, but nope.
All right. I think we all learned a lot here today about ourselves, about each other, about Game of Thrones, about Sandor Clegane and his whiskey dick, but also inexplicable monster appeal. Anybody want to throw out some overall lessons from this episode that to make the people who have just listened to it feel like they in some way haven't wasted their time?
I think I learned that I'm way more into Tywin Lannister than I'm totally comfortable with. But not so uncomfortable with it that I wouldn't say yes to it. So there's that.
It's so interesting about Game of Thrones. Thinking about the characters from a fuckability perspective just shines a whole new light on how you feel about them as characters. I was saying off mic that this is like one of the few, if only, ones we've done where like the characters are often seen fucking and like we actually know things about what they're like in bed, you know? It's interesting how, for me at least, the characters in the fuckability have this weird relationship where it's like, I don't know. I'm not even describing it well, but like the fact that I had Daenerys Targaryen so high surprised the shit out of me is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
I was also surprised, yeah.
You made me feel slightly warmer about her than my 21 initially suggested, so.
That might be the biggest split we've ever had, the 221 on Daenerys.
I think it is.
I learned nothing about my taste. This is all very unsurprising to anybody who has listened to any of the shows. But I have learned that for me, seedy can be a plus, which I don't think I had quite verbalized before. So a little bit, I don't want to say ashamed. That's too strong a word, but I'm judging myself a little bit for that. Yeah.
Fair enough. And I'm judging you as well. So
I'm not. I'm right there in that bathroom stall.
Well, I was highest on Braun, so who am I to judge anyway?
I mean,
That's true.
I learned that I'm more discerning than I thought.
Oh, that's a nice thing to know about yourself, though.
Yeah, because I was like,
yeah.
if presented the option, I'd probably say no to a lot of these people.
Good for you,
I know.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like the other people I would never let go of. I'm like, no, we're doing this again. And again and again and again.
I mean, to be perfectly clear, I would not fuck any of these people if they just, like, walked into my house tomorrow because I am a happily married monogamous man. However, I would ask Sharon if she would be interested in the three-way.
Oh, wow.
For many of them.
I think I am the only person who lives alone, so.
I think Bronn would be down with it. Bronn is ready to be a unicorn for anybody, I think.
Well, this was fun. Krista and Natasha, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I felt so honored
It was a great time.
and flattered.
It was wonderful to have all of you.
You were naturals. You were wild and uncompromising in your boners. Thank you.
Yes. Perfect fits for this show. We'll definitely have to have you all back on again.
Would you like to plug anything real quick on your way out?
Unspoiled is a big network. Chances are, if there's a major property that you are into, it's been covered. So check us out. Just put Unspoiled into a podcatcher and you will be like, oh God.
There's so much.
If you're interested in me and Miles, we did the Dark Tower series. We covered Sandman with Anton. We're doing right now Mistborn for patrons. So yeah, if you want more Miles specifically.
Twilight.
We did Twilight. Don't
We did
forget about
for
Twilight.
patrons.
Do not
Yep.
forget Twilight.
Always got to remind everybody that we did
It's
Twilight.
so good. It was so good.
And I'm doing a lot of commission stuff lately, which has opened up even more. I'm currently covering One Piece, and I have never really watched anime before.
Boy.
So it's quite an experience. I am loving it, by the way.
Yay.
Nice.
It's really just decided it's going to do what it's going to do, and I respect the hell out of that. In response to my enjoying that, somebody has commissioned all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I'll be starting in January.
wow.
So I'm excited about that.
All right.
Very cool.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Unspoiled's great. As Anton used to say, we all belong to House Unspoiled.
It's true. It's true.
Y'all know where to find MeganBob and I.
Yes.
We're over at The Next Wrestling Fan. Bob's over at Garden Plots with Skeletor. Smash Fiction if you want to go back and listen to those. And, of course, Unspoiled. So, Anything else, Bob?
Nope. Thank you for joining us on this ride that happens approximately whenever. And,
Well said.
The best part about this show is that you never know what'll come out. It just drops.
It does. I hope that these boners keep you warm through the long winter.
Aww. You sweet summer child.
Absolutely. No boner shall keep you warm. When the cold winds blow and the ice spiders come, your boner shall wither away.
How did old Nan not make the list?
Oh, God. That's a wrap. Wrap it up.
All right. It's been real.
We're done here. We are done here.
This has been Hard Choices. If you like the show, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review on the podcatcher of your choice. It shows people what's fun about the show and makes it easier for others to find it too. Hard Choices is produced by Lucas Brown. You can follow his work at Lokified on Twitter, or go and subscribe to his magnificent podcast, The Math of You, wherever you get your podcasts. Our theme song is Funk Me by Soundroll. This piece and all music used in this production is licensed through Uppbeat. You can find details in our show notes and listen to more great tunes at uppbeat.io, spelled UPPBEAT.io. The Hard Choices logo is designed by Claire Mulcairn. If you'd like to get into touch with us, look for the Smash Fiction Fan Faction on Facebook and join the conversation. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. You're a peach! And I want to say, I got so head up about fucking Sandor Clegane that I actually got lightheaded. That's where I am, this motherfucker.
We need a play on Namaste, but it's got a boner in it. Nama boner. Doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
No, not so much.